So Jay, I
Yo.
wanted to bring you in on this because I just felt like this game deserved a very short special. I know that you're not too fascinated about it and you might not have that many questions about it, but after finishing it, I definitely wanted to just share my thoughts quickly with you and
hmm
just see what you thought, really. So, to trigger any questions here that you might have, I guess, my main thing is basically I finished Doom Eternal and it's probably the best FPS I've played in terms of gameplay since like Modern Warfare 2.
Okay, that's good. That's a good start.
So I know that I think I mentioned it on the show once that I started it and I think I said to you like, oh, it doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't feel like 2016 almost. So
Okay.
when you finished doing 2016, you had that kind of like got used to the systems, you were able to kill the demons with quite a lot of fluidity. And then I started Doom Eternal and I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good.
Didn't feel the
And then I,
same?
not quite,
Okay.
not quite. It obviously is very similar, but because of a game like that, if you change even certain nuances, it's going to feel quite impactful. Do you know what I mean? Like if you change one or two very small things, it's going to impact you the way you play. So I played it anyway because I spent money, even though it's on Game Pass now. I kept playing it, and then I was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 missions in, and I was like, oh man, I'm getting the hang of this. And then there were other elements which were striking to me, which are designed super well. So the vistas, for instance, in each mission, it looks fantastic. The enemy design, and most importantly, Jay, the story. You would not believe how much story is in this Doom game. They have connected. So, spoilers for Doom Eternal. I'm not going to spoil everything. Well, I probably am. Just move away. Go play the game if you like Doom or FPSs or video games. All right, guys. They have connected the previous Doom game, so Doom 1, 2, Doom 64, and that,
Yeah,
with the Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal.
that's good.
So basically, you find out in flashbacks. Do you mind if I tell you this, Jay?
I'm not. I don't plan on playing it. So.
Okay. They basically show you in flashbacks that you are the Doom guy from the original games and that
Okay.
you become the Doom Slayer. And I won't bore you, but there's a lot of space travel, a lot of dimension stuff. But
That
basically,
makes it even cooler, honestly.
exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
I
the
love
lore
they
of.
did that. That's pretty amazing, honestly.
Dude, I didn't even know the lore of the original games, and I ended up going on a video on YouTube to find out the lore of the original games and see how it all connected. Like,
Okay.
it got me interested in Doom lore. Like, who gives a fuck about Doom lore, you know? But yeah, so it did that, and I was like, man, this game's awesome. And the story was hitting, and like the execution was good on it. Like, it wasn't cheesy, but it wasn't not cheesy. Does that make any sense? Like, they literally say, rip and tear until it's done. But they say it in a way where it's like, I mean, you pull it off, you know?
Okay.
It's how to explain it? It's like a bit like Lord of the Rings, really, where like every sentence should be nerdy as hell, but
Oh,
somehow
okay.
it just pulls it off, you know? So I keep playing, and again, like things are striking. I'm getting the collectibles as I go along, and then I get to like maybe I don't know, 3/4 the way through, and it is clicking, Jay.
Oh, okay. The muscle
It is
memory's in, right?
like so it's clicking, and
Oh,
I'm
good.
like, man, this game feels good. Like
Is
it
that weird
feels
that it took that long?
unbelievable. Good question,
Yeah,
Jay.
because to
So
me, it takes like I'm usually a quarter of the way through a game, or at least halfway max, before things start clicking. So I feel like three
yeah,
quarters is quite a long time to me.
so here's the thing. So I listened to a podcast about game developers and the making of games,
Sure.
and the directors were on, or executive producer and game director were on this podcast, and that I listened to it before I finished the game, and they said we wanted to design a journey of gameplay where you begin, it's entertaining, and as you progress, you will eventually get to that point of euphoria. So the game is designed to do this.
Yeah, no, I kind of felt that with Dark Souls and Bloodborne actually, very similar type of design there. Like it did take quite a while for you to like really know what you were doing. I think part of that came also just because of like the loot and the weapons that you had as well. I don't know if that applies to Doom, does it? Is there certain things you don't get until later in the game that make it maybe easier, or
I mean, you get more powerful weapons as the game goes
yeah,
on
I
in
imagine
terms
you
of
just
the
get more powerful
BFG.
in general, right? With like skills and stuff.
You do if you do the collectibles for sure.
Okay,
For
okay,
sure. Yeah. Yeah, you get like skill points and stuff and armor points and weapon points. So yeah, you definitely get more powerful as the game
okay,
goes on.
okay. That's good.
Not as much as no way near an RPG like Dark Souls or Bloodborne though,
Okay, okay.
if you know what I'm saying.
I do know, yeah, yeah.
Did you what were you finished with your
With my
with your
part, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then I listened to the podcast and I was like, "Oh man, they are so smart." And I should have maybe started with this context of my experience with Doom 2016, perhaps, but I'll go to it now. So, Doom 2016 was the first game that I, you know, quotation reviewed for my student magazine or whatever,
Mm.
student newspaper. So I bought it brand new. It was like 45 quid. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a student. This costs so much money. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it. Like, it looks okay. I'll play it. And then I ended up loving it. Didn't really go back to it. I got 1000G back in the day for it, which wasn't that difficult. The flow with that game is like a bit like a roller coaster where like you're like, I was getting a little bit bored. I was getting excited. But the pacing was,
Really?
yeah, the pacing was a little, because basically you get to like this halfway point and it feels a little bit draggy, and then you basically end up going to hell, and then it revitalizes everything. But the story moments in that were awesome. Like, I still remember the character designs. There's like an 8-foot robot who has got the coolest voice you've ever heard. And when you see him in person, you're like, oh my God, you're ginormous. And you actually get a bit terrifying, even though
Okay.
you're the Doomslayer. And then there's this other lady called Olivia Pierce who was like all amalgamated with robot and flesh. And you would love the, honestly, Jay, you
Yeah,
would love the art for this
you're
game.
really like making my Warhammer bells ring right now. Like that's very like to me that's very like Chaos Space Marine type stuff, and all the flesh and
Def-
the demons, and yeah, that's
yeah.
very up my street. Yeah, I love that. That's the thing. I
Yeah.
would play this game. It's just that I don't know. I'm just not. I don't really want to buy. I don't want to spend that much money to play it. Like I feel because it's on Game Pass. I'm tempted now, honestly. Like very. I'm not. I don't really care about the story though. Like that bit doesn't really apply to my thing at the
Sure.
minute. So
It's not that. I mean, we're talking like maybe 5, 6 cutscenes in the whole game. I was surprised there are cutscenes, and we're talking like you can basically kind of skip or ignore the dialogue kind of thing. Like, it's not
okay.
really pressured on you. I think they
So
know there.
okay, no, go continue.
I was gonna say, I know there are Doom fans who just want to play the game.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, I wasn't sure if you were going to bring this up later about how long it took you to complete both the 2016 one and
Yeah.
the latest one.
Okay. I'll just pause that for a second and just
Yeah,
say
come
that
back to it or what?
yeah, we will. So the pace of 2016 Doom was just like a little bit up and down, whereas the pace of this game is very much zero to hero. Like, by the end of the game, that you are consistently just going and getting better, and it feels better, and everything is just getting better.
Good.
In terms of length, great question, Jay. It's a struggle for me to think back to 2016 Doom because I played it when it came out, obviously, and I played it, I think, 2 days straight to do this review thing.
There we go. Yeah.
So it's very different. Whereas I played Doom Eternal over a course of like 3 to 4 weeks, in very short periods.
I can't imagine you played more than 10 hours per day when you were reviewing it, right? So you probably played about
Definitely.
20 hours to be able to
If
complete it.
that, if
If
that,
that, okay.
probably more, I would say more 12 to 15.
Okay. So it was very short then, the first one, 2016 one.
It felt long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because of the type of content it was.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, so what does that compare to this most recent one then,
Yeah, I mean,
in terms of the length of how long it took you to do?
I think it's fair to say Doom Eternal is almost, if not twice as long.
So somewhere between 30 and 36 hours.
More like 20 to 30.
Okay. So
Depending
20,
on
20 if
collectibles.
you skip everything, and
Yeah.
30 if you don't.
Yeah, and obviously if you've played it before, like if you're going through the campaign again, it may only take you maybe 15 or so. I mean, maybe even like 10 to 15 hours, depending on how quick you are. Like
So
genuinely quick you are,
yeah, I was
quick
going to
killing the
say a
demons.
majority of that is probably like the time taken is just you learning things, then. Like
Exactly.
learning how to actually
Exactly.
not die. I reckon more than anything.
It's a punishing game.
Yeah, no,
I
from what I've definitely I've watched the game online, like
Yeah.
Twitch and YouTube or whatever. It looks quite punishing.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you know me. I played it on easy.
Mm.
I want to experience the game. I'm not here for that brutal experience. I haven't got the time at the moment, mate. If it was like Doom Eternal's the only game I could afford this year,
Oh
I'd go
yeah,
for it. Do you know what I mean? Like
100%. Yeah,
spread it out, spread it out. But what are your thoughts on that, Jay, of spreading out games because of their difficulty? Like I can only afford Avengers, so I'll play it on the hardest difficulty so it lasts me longer, kind of thing. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
I think I've only ever had that. What game have I played again? Call of Duty is probably only really one I can think of. Like I think every Call of Duty I've played, I've done the campaign on normal or easy, and then gone straight to veteran, like right after. Primarily because of the achievements. I've found that there's always like a do campaign on veteran, and even on veteran it's not that hard. But it was quite, you get shot twice and you're dead basically, which is why I imagine it's like on Doom as well. So I'm sure it's fun. It's just it'll probably take you a little bit longer than you'd like.
Yeah,
Would you
yeah.
consider it though, like in the future, if you were like had nothing else? If it was like a 3 month period where there was just no games coming out, which obviously won't happen for a while now, but like, is it that good
Yeah.
of a game, or is it
Oh,
just
okay. Well, best way to answer your question, Jay, is that there's a achievement for doing the campaign on a certain mode, extra life mode,
Okay,
and I am absolutely going to do that at some point.
okay, you
Like
come
I
back
want
to it.
because it is like you've got as soon as you finish the game, you're like, but no, wait, no, the game's just started for me because I've just learned everything. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Mhm.
So you definitely, I mean, I just dipped back into the first mission for a quick achievement, and I was like, oh, this whole thing has changed.
Yeah,
This
completely
whole
different now. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I didn't really know where I was going, but yeah, it's really good, and I think for me, this resumes id Software as the king of the FPS currently.
Well, yeah, my experience with id was Rage 1.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when Rage 2 came out, I was excited to get it, and then when I started playing, I was like, this is not like
Rage.
Rage 1 at all. Like, it completely
Yeah.
changed. So I played it, but I didn't finish it. I was very annoyed about it actually. I was annoyed I ever got it, but there you go.
Did you like
So yeah,
Rage One?
Rage 1 was like, I was hyped for that. I've even got the guide for it as well. I tried
Oh, that's
following it
cool, man.
completely. Yeah, I remember watching Rage 1 graphics, and being like, oh my god, how cool does that look? But obviously looking at it now, I mean, it holds up, but not as much as I thought it
Well,
did.
dude,
So
I was gonna say I played Rage for the first time a couple of years ago, and I thought the graphics looked like possibly the best 360 graphics out there.
yeah, no, I think at the time it was like near the end of the 360 timeline, so it was getting
And it was
good.
on 3 discs.
Is it 3 discs?
Something
Probably,
crazy.
yeah, one or yeah,
Because of the
2 or 3.
graphics or something, or two or three, I think. Yeah. So that it's interesting, Jay. We should maybe talk about that game and your memories with it. What Rage 2 then? Because that was supposed to be basically a mix
Oh,
of open world Rage and then Doom gameplay.
no,
What did you not like about it?
it was just like Rage 1 but bigger but worse somehow. It just didn't feel the same. It just felt like
Okay.
they'd had this massive bit of land and filled it hardly at all, and just hadn't really done much with it. Even though the development seemed like there was a lot going on, there really wasn't that much going on. Like, it was one of
Okay.
those games where they showed off not a lot of actual gameplay, and because of that, everything that was actually in game, it was basically like, those memes of like the Netflix adaptation version always looks like a really bad version of the original. That's basically what it is. It's like taking the original and just shoving it through a shredder and thinking it's still the same, but it's not. It's just like so much worse.
Okay.
That's kind of how I felt about it. But I mean, I'm
So
sure
it
if I played it for
wasn't.
longer, I might feel better about it. I don't know.
Yeah, because I've got to say, Jay, of all the things I thought about that game before launch, it didn't look like technically an actual sequel to Rage. Does that make sense?
No, it wasn't. Not really. It wasn't. No,
It looked like something
they
else.
tried, but yeah, it was definitely something else.
Mm. So how id started the shooter and how they reigned supreme for so many years at the beginning of the 90s or whatever it was. I
Mm.
truly believe that they have now taken their place again there after playing Doom Eternal. And who would have thought they would have achieved such an incredible feat in 2020? And who would have thought that they would have been able to create such a good single player experience under the umbrella of ZeniMax when ZeniMax are pushing God knows what, season passes for Fallout 76, etc.
Wasn't Doom Eternal delayed?
Yeah,
So when did it come out?
March 2020.
And it was supposed to come out end of 2019?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay. Do you
yeah.
think, can you note, would you reckon you'd be able to tell where that extra bit of development time went into? Or is it, hard not really to say, you can't really tell?
To be honest, Jay, looking at it, there's one multiplayer mode
Okay.
which does look different and unique in its own way, but I think it's pretty much all gone to the single player. And
Okay.
if I can't tell you where it's gone per se, all I can tell you is that whatever they did, it's paid off.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
What would you say is id's next thing then? Do we already know what they're developing next, or is it going to be another
Uh,
Doom thing? Like, is
mm,
it going to be
mm,
2024 until we see another Doom development? Is there a part three? Like, with the
mm.
ending of this, would you say there's a cliffhanger where there's a continuation possible, or no?
So Doom 2016, I forgot had a cliffhanger, which leads into Doom Eternal. This one finishes off a bit more securely.
Okay.
In terms of the lore, they put in place. This goes back to all the things I looked back on Doom 1 and 2. I didn't realize they put in specific bosses from those original games in these games.
Oh, okay.
So, the end of Doom Eternal, you have the Icon of Sin, which is the main boss from Doom 2. Now, when I'm playing it, I'm like, okay, like, cool. Doom fans are going, oh my god! Like, that's so awesome. So, in terms of lore, Jay, what they've done is they've connected this universe, but they've also taken it, put in their own stuff, and then made it so that there is a continuation of the story they have started. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Mhm.
It's so impressive. They've linked this universe and created a stepping point to where they can finish or carry on if they want, but probably finish what is a fairly interesting lore
Okay. So there is
expansion.
possibility for a third then.
I would say, Jay, they are going to see a potential in finishing this off as a trilogy.
Okay. Is that something you would like, or are you not too fussed?
If it's even better than Doom Eternal, by the time that comes out, it will be unquestionable. They will become a pinnacle AAA developer at that
Okay.
point.
What, just from 3 games of the same thing
Yeah,
in an 8-year span? So 2016, 2020, and 2024.
yeah.
Hmm. I don't know. That feels a bit more. That feels very kind of like one trick pony to me.
Okay, example for you
Which I
then.
guess you could say Fallout. I know, but they're different enough for it to be
Well, I was going to say Naughty
important,
Dog and
right? Yeah,
Uncharted.
that's true. Yeah,
So
that's true.
Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, it pretty much cements them as one of the best developers ever.
Yeah, Naughty Dog. Yeah.
And
What
they
else
came
did I
out
guess Last of Us came out during that time, though, didn't it?
it came out
Because I
after
feel like
Uncharted
Naughty
3.
Dog tend to develop 2 games at the same time, don't they? Most of the time.
Tried to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would
So what
like
would it
them.
take then? What would it take for you to be happy with another game? Like, what needs to be added? What needs to be taken away? What needs to be the same? Stuff like that.
I don't know.
No,
I
is
didn't
your
know.
imagination not big enough for you to think of anything? Is that what you mean? Like,
Well,
because I have that problem a lot too.
you can imagine like vistas and stuff, but in terms of gameplay loop and stuff, I just don't. I didn't even know the things that they hadn't done in 2016 that they have done in this game, and I didn't realize there are so little things they change where I'm like, I didn't even know that was a problem with Doom 2016 when I was playing it, but it is
Okay.
after playing this game.
So are you saying there's not much of a difference between the first one and the second one? Then it's basically the same game, just with a different story.
No, no, there is a big difference.
There is a big difference. Okay.
It's small differences, but they make a large
So
impact.
lots of little differences that make enough of an impact for you to notice.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
So you just want that again? You want there
I
to be
would.
lots of little things, and then it to be a big thing, or do you want lots of little things and a big thing?
No, I think little things would be good at this point. There's
Okay.
little you can do to improve or change upon this game. Some people don't like the platforming sections. I think that's a matter of taste. Some people didn't like a couple of swimming sections, which is
Swimming.
understandable.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Was
a
this
weird one.
Mario? Platforming,
some
swimming. Okay.
some people didn't like a certain type of demon who
Yeah.
was frustrating if you didn't know how to. I didn't really know how to fight him, to be
I
fair.
think one of my issues with Doom is that it feels a lot like Quake. And
Yeah,
as much as I liked Quake back in the day, I've always had a problem with the speed at which your character moves.
yeah,
It
yeah.
tends to be like super, like unrealistically quick, and sometimes it's a bit jarring. And I think sometimes I prefer characters that move normally, like in quotes. There's definitely examples where I could, say that it's necessary they shouldn't move normally, like an Iron Man who can fly or a Hulk who can jump super far. Um, but that's just always felt a bit like weird to me. I don't know why. It's just like that's not necessarily like the sole reason why I don't play them, but it's definitely a part of it, a very minute part of the reason why I don't really play it. Do you ever have that feeling? Do you ever find that a bit weird how quickly the character moves, or is that something you don't really care about?
I gotta say, Jay, I've always liked that.
So you've liked it, okay? So did you
Yeah.
play Quake? You played Quake before, right?
I think I played like Quake 2 or 3 on the PS2 or something, but I was
Yeah,
awful at it. Like,
yeah,
there was no online or anything. So limited for me. Did you play Quake Champions?
yeah. I think so. I've played the latest Quake too, just like a tiny bit. I think I've like played the beta or something, whatever it was. And yeah, it's just that like it's there's a very particular type of older gamer who I think prefers that. Like people who are like maybe in their late 30s, early 40s, tend like people who played the Quakes and the Dooms back in the day, like the original, audience probably would enjoy that a bit more because there's obviously a level of nostalgia there. But for someone like me who didn't really necessarily grow up on that as much, I just doesn't really appeal to me as much. Same way that Nintendo doesn't really appeal to me or anything like that. It's just not part of my oeuvre. Is that the
Yeah,
right word?
I no idea.
My dad says that a lot. Oeuvre. Oeuvre?
Here's your orange oeuvre.
No, it's like repertoire. It's like yeah, you know what I mean. It's not my bag, baby.
Portfolio,
Yeah,
not in your bag of interests. Yeah.
it's not my bag.
What I will say is I wouldn't be heartbroken if they didn't do a third game, and I
Okay.
think they could finish this revitalization here if they wanted to. Question is do they have the development energy and passion to make a third game rather than doing something different? I
I was
don't
gonna
know.
say, would you prefer like a new IP,
I think they might want to do a new IP at this point.
but they stick with the shooter type situation?
I mean, who knows? Look, all bets are off for me, mate. After Gorilla did Horizon coming from an FPS, I think I believe any studio can adapt to
Oh,
any
that's
genre.
true, actually, and also
So
I guess with Crystal Dynamics too, with
yeah.
Avengers.
Well, Tomb Raider was a third-person action, to be fair.
Yeah, but it definitely, I don't think you can compare Avengers to that. They're similar, but they're not similar enough for me to be
Yeah,
like,
sure.
that's the same developer.
Multiplayer.
Like, if I
Yeah,
didn't know who the developer of either of the games were, I wouldn't have told you they were the same developer.
true that.
No
True that.
way. And I guess would you be able to say the same for what you were now talking about in terms of going from something else to a shooter? Horizon, whoever did Horizon.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. No way. No way
Yeah,
at all.
exactly. It's just
Yeah.
I like I don't know. I guess it's a bit of a gamble sometimes, isn't it? Having a developer who's so not like who is used to doing a very one type of game style and completely shifts. It's usually bit of a drastic change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They obviously took their time with this game because it took 4 years in the end, or maybe
Yeah,
yeah, I think four.
roughly. Yeah.
And that's I think it shows as you mentioned, and I just wanted to congratulate them because it's so awesome.
Mm.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Like they have become one of the key staples in that Bethesda portfolio now. Like for me, it kind
Yeah,
of goes Bethesda Softworks, id closely behind.
it's funny because a lot of when the whole Bethesda thing was, happening a
Yeah,
week or two ago,
yeah,
someone who I watched online made a good comparison of like if there's ever like a racing game like a Mario Kart type game that they could potentially have. Like, but Microsoft made one, so Microsoft themselves, Microsoft Studios made one of those games. You'd have, the Doom Slayer, you'd have Master Chief, you'd probably have like,
Right.
all these like the Gears guys. You'd have all the classic Microsoft owned characters, and now that that's part of the collection of characters, I guess they could have, could potentially do some sort of collaboration in the future, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, I completely get, yeah. And it's weird to think, Jay, that like, well, not really, because it always in my mind always belonged there. But like, the Brotherhood of Steel outfit person guy from
Oh
Fallout
yeah, sure,
3,
sure.
that is now in the like that's part of the Xbox characters. You
See,
know what
I've
I
never
mean?
ever considered that part of anything but Xbox. Like
Exactly,
to me,
exactly.
Bethesda have always been an Xbox company. Just because like all their, I don't think I've ever bought a Bethesda game on PlayStation. I mean, maybe I got Fallout 4 just because I wanted to play it on there as well. But that's probably it.
Yeah,
Actually, no, that's a lie. I guess Fallout 76, I think I might have gotten it on PS4 or whatever. But
sure.
yeah, that's it. I don't really count that though.
Dude, I so want to try that game. I can't. My fascination with it. I think I'm gonna have to
Honestly, I
play it.
think I think it's difficult. Like it's one of those games that I know I could definitely get into and enjoy a lot, but it takes so much mental effort to do that.
It's like, isn't the
It
map
really
four
does.
times bigger than Fallout 4 or something
Yeah,
stupid?
it's pretty ridiculous, honestly. I think they've made it bigger since it's released too because of DLC.
And normally when you get into a Fallout game and you're like, oh, look at all this potential, is it just too overwhelming?
Yeah,
Or
it's literally like if you came out of the vault, but instead of like your limits, now there's like it's just so much to there's because with a Fallout game you got to come out and just shoot things and level yourself up and that's it. You just get to the end. But with this, you've now got to also do that plus being able to build your camp, being able to survive from eating and drinking. It's basically like playing Fallout on that mode that you have to keep drinking all the time.
sure.
Similar type of thing, almost like Sims as well. It's very weird.
Yeah. Well, funny you say that, Jay. I played Fallout New Vegas on that mode for
Yeah,
an
I did too.
achievement,
Yeah,
and I actually really enjoyed it.
yeah. I mean, it didn't become that much of an issue once you got into the habit of it.
Exactly,
I think it was
exactly.
also because if you pre-ordered it, you got a canteen that regularly filled up your drinking. Like
Water.
it automatically do it for you.
Yeah.
Like if you got the pre-order of the game, you didn't really have to actually worry about the water, but you did have to worry about the food. So it kind of like cut that in half, I guess, cut the worry in half.
Yeah.
I definitely, I mean, I played the game for like a decent amount of time, Fallout 76, but yeah, it's just you have to really like be in it to be able to play it. Like you can't go do anything else at the same time. It's very
Okay.
difficult. I mean, I recommend giving it a go, but yeah, I don't know.
Would you play it with me, or are you not interested?
I mean, I tried like a few weeks ago, just went back just to sort of see what it was like, and I was like, yep, this is why I didn't want to play anymore. I
Fair
just
play.
jumped within like 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, I remember exactly why I didn't like this.
Fair play. Fair play.
But to each their own.
Fair play.
I think it'd probably be easier from the beginning too. Like it tends to explain a lot that I've probably forgotten a bunch of things that I probably should know. So that was probably part of the issue is that I jumped sort of like at the deep end. So it kind of made it. I hate playing a game for like a small amount of time and then coming back to it from where you left off and just forgetting all the basic stuff.
Yeah,
It
that
just
is a
makes it so much worse to play it from that point.
that is a process. One of the biggest impacts short term is now Xbox have a genuine superstar studio. Like I know they have them now as well and stuff, but like 343 sounds like they're in trouble. It sounds like they're just overload themselves with work. Coalition, Rod Ferguson, he's left. I think that the Gears is Gears at the end of the day,
Yeah, Gears is dead to me, to be honest.
and almost every other studio is working on games that we're not really going to see for a while. And even if we have seen them, they're still not coming for ages. Like Psychonauts 2 or the Avowed from like these games aren't coming for ages. So it's kind of like I mean, even the Bethesda games, the short-term ones, the PlayStation timed exclusives, which apparently are going to be a thing still, and then everything else is going to come out in like 4 years. I don't know.
I don't know
Yeah,
either. And so
but
just so
yeah,
that I've sort of swayed a bit more back to the Xbox.
have you?
Yeah, just slightly. just
Okay.
because I really don't want to have to look at that PS5 every day.
Oh, dude.
It's honestly upsetting
Oh,
me.
I'm telling you, as soon as I saw that thing, dude, I was like,
It's awful.
nah,
Nah, it's not good.
nah, uh-uh. Dude,
Apparently,
yeah,
you
it
know
looks
how the
awful.
Xbox came out with the fact that it's super quiet?
Yeah.
Like, it came out with the PS5 being also super quiet. Like, they kind of have to, like, follow each other's steps one after the other. It's like, well,
Yeah.
one of them is, well, of course ours is too. So,
Yeah.
so that was quite
Well,
funny.
any other questions, Jay, that you thinking of about Doom? I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot of it, really.
Yeah, no. I was actually curious if you'd watched anyone on Twitch or anything or online YouTube who had, like, done the whole game on the hardest difficulty or whatever.
Well, I did watch a 30-minute YouTube video of the devs watching a speedrunner do a
Yeah, I
run.
think that's probably what I watched. I think I watched a similar
Oh,
thing.
dude, that was so good. I mean, you could see the developers' creativity just in that video because the game director, Hugo Martin, he's like, we should fuck with these guys. We should put congrats on the skybox just to,
That's
just to,
funny. Yeah.
mate, on, and,
I think that's probably one of the good things about those kind of like I like developers that are older, like developers who get the fact of like silly, like just silly in-game things like that. I've like to me, Gearbox is an older developer with the whole Borderlands humor. Like that humor to me is like old, is like 40s. It's like almost like dad humor. And same with like the developers of like people who make Doom. Just to me, they seem like an older. I don't know. I feel like I can trust an older developer a bit more than a younger one. But younger ones tend to come up with ideas that are a bit more fresher. I think the older developers tend to go with the same thing that usually works, and it can get a bit boring sometimes. But yeah, no, I like developers that do that. That are just like really funny and goofy with how they want to do things.
yeah,
Makes
definitely.
a lot of
But
sense.
that speedrunning playthrough, super impressive, obviously. I mean, like, you can't even keep track. I mean, like, he's using his keyboard and mouse. I can't even see where he's pointing his gun most of the time. Like, it's absurd.
A
It's
lot of speed
absurd.
runs, depending on the development of the game and how the game plays, you can actually. I mean, there's a few games that you don't even have to look at the screen to know where you are.
Sure.
Like there's just like certain movements on a keyboard for a certain amount of time or on a controller that the player already knows where they are. It's almost like playing chess blindfolded. If
Yeah.
you do it
Yeah.
enough times, you'll get it down. Less and less time each time. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's impressive stuff. I've always liked watching speed runs. I mean, they have the speed run like awards or whatever, don't they? That charity run sort of like
Yeah.
event every
Games
year.
done
So
quick. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I love checking out some of those. I think it's something nostalgic about seeing one of your favorite childhood games being sped run. Is that the right?
yeah. They did
Uh,
every single Fallout game in a row last year. That was quite fun.
wow. What, Fallout 3 and 4 included?
Yes, they did the first one, two, three, Vegas, and then four. Yeah, did it in order.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was creepy to watch because he did it so quickly.
Really? Oh,
Ridiculous. Yeah.
dude, we should play New Vegas at some point. That'd be a cool game to
New
dive
Vegas is
into.
still my favorite Fallout game. I think
Okay.
it really is. It's just I don't know. It just feels better to me.
I've got to say, I played that recently, like a couple of years ago,
Yeah, me too.
and
Yeah, I did it again.
I played it for the first time a couple of
Oh,
years ago,
okay, fair enough.
and it's definitely got a vibe about it.
It
Like
really
I
has. It's
listen,
different, isn't it?
yeah, like I listen to. I mean, I like the survival mode surprisingly, but also I find that when I listen to the songs that are on the radio from that game, it really gives you a nostalgic feeling already, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
No, the soundtrack's great on that. Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
I
It
agree.
is.
The speed run for that game is so quick too. It's really weird.
Really.
It's creepy. Yeah, it's like 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I
Oh
don't know.
my god. I like it when they try and do it for Witcher 3 and it's still like 10 hours.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly kind
Uh,
of like I don't know. I think some developers are actually like shocked by how quickly people can get past things.
yeah,
Like they
definitely.
deliberately put things in the way so they couldn't do that, and they still managed to get by them somehow.
Definitely.
I don't know.
Definitely. Jay, question for you on Doom Eternal. You're part of that internet trend, which is like if the player base isn't currently going through a peak, it's dead. Right?
No, I'm
But
not really.
I'm
Like
joking. I'm
yeah, I know. It
joking.
kind of just depends, though, right? No, I like looking at analytics for stuff,
Yeah.
but to me, as long as there's even a few hundred players, I still think it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fine. It just depends on if it has a multiplayer or not.
Well, yeah, so my question to you is what do you see the future of this multiplayer mode being for Doom Eternal? Like
Not
a
great, honestly.
year? A year and a half?
No, probably not even that.
Fair.
Like when did it come out in March?
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if there's hardly anyone playing it now.
yeah, yeah.
There's just too many things that are already out there, like Fortnite, PUBG, Apex. Like, there's too many multiplayer things to do. Among Us, Fall Guys. There's way too many to choose from that are way more popular, probably more fun too. So
Okay.
yeah,
And apart from free updates and modes, there are 2 campaign DLCs coming out, which apparently you can
oh, I
play
forgot
separate
about
from the main
DLC.
game.
Yeah,
So I will be getting those probably when they're on offer. You can
so they're
only get
already
them in
out.
the... No, no, no. The first one's coming out at the end of this month.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna play that or no?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I will...
there's going to be additional achievements? Is there more than likely?
Yeah, yeah, there will. But they're only in the deluxe edition at the moment, so I will either have to buy them separate or wait till they go on offer. And I think I'll wait till they go on offer. I think
Okay. I say
I might get a new.
I'd
Depends how
feel
much
weird
they
about
are.
that though. Like, I hate playing a game and then having to come back to it like a month later because you just forget everything.
Yeah, I'm not. I think Doom's different to Borderlands 3, but ever since doing those DLCs alongside you, I'm kind of liking the idea of going back to all these games when stuff comes out for them.
I think Borderlands is the exception, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, I think just because it's the level of replayability and RPG elements it has. Like, to me, Doom seems like too much of a single player experience for me to want to come back to it. Like, if
Sure.
a game is open world to an extent, to me, like, you can just keep adding on to it. But a single player campaign to me, in that, like a linear one, kind of just feels like, well, it starts here and it ends here, and there's no real way you can do anything with it. Just feels a bit stuck. Versus, Borderlands, which can literally go in any direction. So I
Yeah.
don't know. That's just me, but
Yeah, if the DLCs are like 20 quid each, I might wait till they're on sale. But like if they're maybe 16 to 10 quid, I'll definitely buy them at launch and just play through them.
okay,
But the
good.
first Doom 2016 only had multiplayer stuff, and I wasn't bothered about that.
Okay.
Thank
Mm.
you for joining me, Jay. Go rip and tear.